All right, you guys. So Ruko and I made it out to the woods, and I got a lot of requests about how I made these mucklucks, the process, and kind of the concept of the design. And so I'm out here, basically, kind of gonna give you the rundown here, and do a lot of performance tests. Go through some snow, maybe climb some rock and some trees. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the design here and what I did. And hopefully it inspires you to make some boots like this. This was my first pair I've ever made. And they came out pretty nice. You know, I've probably spent about 2 months on the entire process. And really enjoyed it. And it's a whole lot more figuring than it is putting it together. But yeah, so basically, let's jump right into it. So I'm going to talk about what it's made of. So the outside here is bark tanned deer skin. And basically, bark tan is taking the bark of trees, leaves, and stuff like that, also called veg tan. And you create a bath that soaks up all those natural materials, and all the tannins from those are water soluble. And then you take your skin and it tans the hide, right? So this is bark tan deer skin. And for that bark, I use chestnut oak, which comes out to a really nice kind of chocolate brown, one of my favorites. So, and it's actually really waterproof too. That's what's nice about bark tan stuff. So the outside here is all bark tan deer skin. And then the inside of this, we got black bear fur and we got sheep fur. So the reason I use sheep fur at the bottom is because it's more insulative to keep my feet warm, and the skin is a little bit more thin than the bear hide, so it allows for some more flexibility stepping over logs, rocks, stuff like that. And it's just super insulative. It feels great. And I stitched on sheep fur for the bottom of the sole inside and the top of the foot, so my foot is completely covered by the sheep fur. And then up at the top, I got the black bear fur. And I think this just looks really beautiful, super smooth, pretty fur, and super rich black. As you can see, it's just, it really adds to the whole boot itself. So I whip stitched on the fur up here. You can see my whip stitch going all the way around, and on this side here as well. And on both boots, what I got here, I left this section without the fur because this is kind of where it wraps around and it creates, it's just a little bit easier to bend and to manipulate to really tighten it up. If I had fur in this section, it would probably be a little too tight. So I left that without fur. And after all, whenever I do wrap it around, the fur actually engulfs my entire leg there, so it's still fully wrapped around my leg. Feels great and keeps me warm. Now what I want to talk about here are the toggles I got here. So I got an antler button down here that kind of tightens it up right above the ankle, and then right here I have a toggle, and this one slips in, slips off really nicely, and it's just a little side cut here. So it goes right into that, and I'll put them on and show you how I put them on, stuff like that, and take them off, and they fit, I mean, they fit perfect. Again, it's a spot-on measurement from my foot, custom fitting. So let's see what we got here. We got the bottom of the foot. Now this took, to do the rubber sole here, this took about 3 tries. I tried some different stuff. And here for the rubber sole here, I used rubber cement, and I used a wood rasp to shred a giant chunk of rubber, and I mixed that with about 50-50 of a type of epoxy adhesive. Combined the rubber shredded material with that and created a rubber cement sole. So this is the right boot right here, and it looks good. And the left boot right here, this is the exact same thing, just for the left foot. Got the button, the toggle, sheep fur down here, bottom and top of the foot, black bear fur up top, nice thick rubber sole there. So now I want to talk about real quick kind of how I stitched it, and kind of making them, because, you know, like I said, it was a lot more figuring than it was stitching. You know, for days on end, it felt like I was just staring at my material, figuring out what to do and how to make it work. Whenever I put this all together, I based it off a shoe that a friend made for me, which was like a turn shoe style. And it was kind of like below the ankle. And I really liked it because he stitched it and made it, you know, inside out first, and then you turn it right side in or whatever. And so you can kind of put it on your foot and go back and forth and see how it fits. And I did the same concept with this. I kind of had my material and I put it together inside out, and then I flipped it right side in so I could then put it on my foot and see where it was at. The only difference was I added just a really big upper part to it. So it's the exact same concept. It just took a while because of the size of the boot here. And you can see here, just like a turn shoe has, I have a flesh seam on the side right there. So it's got a really good transition, very hard to tell. And I've got a welt on the side. So it's a side seam style boot. There's a side seam going all the way across, and it's actually a welt. Then it just kind of adds, I think, a really good look to the boot. Yeah, so that's basically it. And a little bit of whip stitch, like I said, to hold up all that fur. And I'm not planning on, this opens up like that, and I don't really have a problem with that, because if I stitch that to the boot, then there would be stitching on the outside here. And when I have this on, it's not like this is ever going to come up. So I have really no desire to stitch this down like that. It's just staying in there. That's how it is. And I like the look of the boot, how it's all just one big piece of leather with no stitching, kind of dividing that up. So it looks really good. But that's the boot right here. These are the Black Bear Mucklucks. And we're going to go ahead and give it a performance test here.